Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to go through the answers to some questions that were submitted to me following the presentations that you had the last 2 days in PAC. And I'm also going to preview and review some important details for our Safety Spotlight Week, which will be taking place next week. Okay, we're going to start with some questions that some students asked their teacher, and I thought these were good questions that everyone should be able to hear the responses to. So the first question is, what would be the protocol if students were on the bus after school or leaving to get on the bus and there was a suspicious person or threat either outside or inside the school? So there's a couple of options we have, and we have to make the decision as to what the best option is. So if the person might not be an immediate threat, but there could be something potential happening, we would probably choose to secure in place if there's no immediate threat to us. So in that scenario, anybody that would be inside the school, we would try to secure themselves in a classroom inside the building. If there were people outside, they would have to make the decision to re-enter the building or evacuate to a safer location. If students had already boarded the bus, so if the majority of kids were already on the bus, we would likely have them remain on the bus and then try to send them home quickly. That might mean some people would miss the bus, but we would be able to take care of those students. It's really hard to give a definitive answer as to this, as each situation is different and there are a lot of factors that could change our response. So ultimately, the adults in the situation are going to be trying to make the best decision using the information that they have. And the most important thing for students to do in any of these is to listen to the adults and to, if there's an adult around, notify them, work with them to be able to follow their guidance. If there's not, all of you have had training and guidance through this process and should be able to make a decision that you feel is the best decision for you at that point in time. The first thing you should always try to do is find an adult who can help. And we will help to make sure that you're safe at all times. That's our ultimate goal for all of our kids. If the situation was maybe there was more imminent danger, maybe the person was trying to cause issues at the school, we would probably try to respond maybe using Alice. And then you're going to follow that protocol based on the information you have and the location you're in. If you're already outside the building and the threat is outside the building, you're going to have to make a decision as to what you want to do. Can you secure yourself inside the building? Can you get in and secure yourself? Can you evacuate to a different location and escape out of there? Do you have to choose to counter? What kinds of things? How are you going to inform others? You have to go through that acronym and make the decision based on the information you have. So I know this doesn't really answer your question. There's just so many variables that could happen in this type of scenario that it's hard to give you a specific, yes, this is what you should do. We could walk through many different scenarios with just slight differences among them and have very different responses that we choose to have. The overall difference between a secure in place and Alice is secure in place is that there is the potential for something to happen. There's a potentially, a security threat could happen. There's something that happened nearby the school, or maybe just somebody who's upset here at school, and we choose to secure in place to help protect everyone, but there's not an imminent danger. If you're working with Alice, then there is an imminent danger happening, like something very concerning is going on. There's an intruder who is here to do harm. So we're going to respond in a more significant way using Alice. Secure in place is kind of a protective strategy that we should use. An example of when we probably should have secured in place had we been notified would have been this past Friday. There was an altercation and a shooting at the apartment complex that's nearby Junction City Middle School. We were not notified of that. Had we been notified, I would have chosen to have a secure in place here in the school just to protect everyone. There wasn't an imminent danger of somebody here on the school grounds, but something happened nearby, and that would have been our best choice at that point in time. Another question, if a student is in the hallway when we go into secure in place or Alice, what should they do? So each one of these situations would be different. In the event of a secure in place situation, students in the hallway or restroom would return to the classroom they came from, and they should be allowed to re-enter. Students who are temporarily visiting another classroom or location, such as the library, should remain there until the secure in place is lifted. So your teacher will let you back into the classroom if you were in the bathroom or at your locker, if we're in a secure in place. If you, let's say you were in another classroom taking a test, or you visited the library and secure in place was put into place, you would need to stay in that location. It wouldn't do you any good to go back to where you were at that point in time. You're safe where you're at. We would ask that you just remain in that location. In the event of an Alice response, we're going to do something different. Students in the hallway or restroom will not be allowed back into classrooms. So because the barricading of the door could have already started to take place, it's possible that there's nobody in that classroom. We're asking people not to open the door for any reason in that situation if you've chosen to lock down and do your enhanced lockdown. So even if it's a student trying to get in, we're not going to do that. If you're a student in the situation and you're in the restroom or hallway or someplace like that, you're going to follow Alice protocol. You're going to make a decision based on the information you have. So if you feel a lockdown is a good option for you, you could choose to do so in an unoccupied room if one's available. If you're able to make it into a classroom before they've locked down and barricaded, that's a possibility. You can secure yourself anywhere that you can find. You could choose to evacuate if you feel like that's the best response in that point in time. So you have to make a decision based on what information you have as a student. There's a lot of paths that you can take, and we're giving you that guidance to be able to make that decision. So next week is our Safety Spotlight Week for Junction City Middle School, September 10th through the 14th. We will have 4 safety drills. We'll have practiced 3 of them by the time we go through this safety week. Severe weather drill, our fire, which is also known as an evacuation drill. Sometimes we would evacuate the building for reasons other than fire. A secure in place, and Alice. We will be having assistance from the school district officials and law enforcement, fire, and EMS. All of those folks from all those departments will be here to help us with the process and give us feedback on the drills so we can refine and improve our safety response. Our ultimate goal is to identify things that we're doing well as things that we can improve upon and refine and make our process better. So on Monday, the 10th, we will have a severe weather drill. Strengths of our past severe weather drill, all of the students were in the shelter and accounted for in a timely manner. We were able to get everyone in a safe location quickly and account for everyone. Areas that we definitely need to improve upon. The student voice level was well above the expected level 0. A level 0 voice volume enables staff to provide students with guidance and direction. I know in multiple locations there were a lot of students that were talking loudly and did not follow guidance to put their voice at a level 0. We need that help from you as students. We realize it's kind of an uncomfortable situation being in the duck and cover position, but the more quickly you get into that position and do so quietly, the quicker we will be able to finish the drill. Another thing is that not all students assume the duck and cover position. You can either be seated or kneeling, but your head should be down with your hands on the back of your head. That's to protect your head from any kind of flying debris or anything in the event of a severe weather event. So we want you to be safe, and when we practice, we have to practice the way that we would actually do it in an event, which means we're going to be very quiet so we can hear all directions from adults. And we're also going to be in a position that allows us to be safe, which is seated or kneeling with our hands covering the back of our head and our head down. On Tuesday, the 11th of September, we will have a fire or evacuation drill. The drill will begin, most likely, this is my prediction, when a staff member is asked to pull the alarm. So if staff members, be prepared. If you're asked to do so, you're going to have to pull that alarm to activate the drill. All staff have the authority to call 911 in the event of a fire, or in this case, the drill. And we do ask that you call 911. That's part of the process that we go through, and practicing it is important. Emergency officials are aware that we're doing the drill, so they will know that that the 911 call is not legit. But we want you to do that, and they keep track of how many people call. Strengths of our previous drill, all students exited the building in less than 2 minutes, which is an awesome amount of time. I know some areas had great voice levels. Kids were all at a level 0. Other areas, we could make some improvements on that. Again, being able to hear directions and guidance from adults is really important. So that's why we ask for you to have a voice level at 0 as you exit the building and re-enter it. On Wednesday, September 12th, we'll do a secure in place drill. I don't have any feedback for you at this point that I'm recording this video because we're going to get ready to practice that later here in just a little bit. But it's possible that any staff member in the building may be asked to implement a secure in place for this drill. All staff have the authority to do so as they see fit, which is why it's important for us to practice it this way. It's not just me that makes the decision for us to secure in place. Although many times it might be, depending on the situation, it is going to be sometimes placed in the shoes of the staff member who may observe a situation that requires us to secure in place. It could be a medical emergency. It could be that there's an unauthorized person on the grounds or somebody suspicious outside the grounds that you see outside your window. You can make the decision to secure in place. Err on the side of caution. I'm never going to be upset with you for choosing to secure in place because it ultimately can mean a safe school where everyone is protected. And so it's an easy way to take a precaution without causing a lot of stress, without causing a lot of interruptions to our school day. We can implement secure in place very easily with little to no issue or interruption. So please do not ever hesitate to implement that as you see fit. On Thursday, September 13th, we will do our ALICE drill. We will have not done one of these by the time we do this. So it will be our first ALICE drill of the year. The drill will begin when a staff member is asked to alert the school of an intruder or other dangerous situation. So again, a staff member in our school will be the person who makes the call. I'll talk more with staff individually or as a staff group about how to make that known, how to notify everyone. You can always do it with the announcement all call, but I'm going to fill you in on a different method that we'll ask you to follow. All staff have the authority to call 911 and should continue to do so as they get updated information. So as we learn more and are informed more throughout the process through either announcements or our GroupMe text group, those are things that we can communicate to 911 as well. Staff will be looking for an invite to the GroupMe soon. And all students are to follow the direction of your staff member in this process. They will be making some decisions about what you're going to do, and you're going to follow in with their guidance in terms of the decision they made based on the information they have. At the end of the Safety Spotlight Week, we will have a wrap-up where admin will meet with school district staff, law enforcement, fire, and EMS to get feedback on the strengths and areas of in need of improvement. Our whole goal with this is to refine and get better at what we do. It's not about being right or wrong the first time. We always have to look at what we did well and then decide how we can do better. I want you to take some time right now as a class to discuss what has been covered for all of our different safety drills that we've gone through. We'll be doing again our fire/evacuation drill, our severe weather drill, another secure in place drill, and an ALICE drill all next week. So it's going to be a very busy week in terms of practicing our safety procedures, but it will help us to be prepared should there ever be an emergency or event. So I want you to take some time to discuss those and review and ask questions that you still have so that I can get those responses to you before we start next week. If there's any questions you don't know the answer to, please send them to me via email. I have not received a lot of questions from staff and students, but the ones I have, I've responded here in this video with. So if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. It's probably a really good question that everyone wants to know, and we want to make sure that we get that information out. Thank you all for taking time to listen to this. I hope you have some good discussions about how you're going to be safe in the coming weeks and how we can better meet the needs of our school in terms of its safety. I hope you have a super Thursday.